Hello there. This is MD. Here with you on SaskiYano. Here we go again. We are in a new After Effects tutorial. In this tutorial, you're to learn the basics of camera tracking. To follow along with this tutorial, make sure to open up the camera tracking file. And you're also going to need this video file. Alright. To start, I'm gonna create a new composition. With my footage here. I am gonna drop it onto the new comp button. And I am gonna come over to the tracker panel. And I'm going to hit track camera. Now that's going to put a 3D camera tracker effect on this layer. And it's going to get to work analyzing this footage. And now you can do other things as it's analyzing the footage. And as it's working out this track, we can jump to another composition and work or do whatever you like. But this is gonna take just a little bit to figure out. Alright. That is finished. And what has happened is After Effects analyzes the video sequence and extracts the camera motion and the 3D scene data. And what this allows us to do is composite 3D elements over your 2D footage, in addition to adding 2D to the elements to the 3D environment. So if you click on the camera tracker, any scrub in the timeline here, you will see that there are hundreds of trackers that have been applied to the footage. And for the most part, these are locked to the parts of the foot is that they're supposed to be locked to. So for example, there's a bunch of trackers on this building. And as you scrub along, those trackers don't move around or dance around a whole lot. And so, I have pretty good confidence that this track is going to work. Now sometimes when you use the camera tracker, you're tracking things that have some foreground objects. Maybe people walking by or whatever that are obscuring some of the geometry of the scene, buildings and other things in the shot that After Effects would use to try and figure out the 3D data. You know, basically, what is the geometry that After Effects is looking for, and then how can it extrapolate a camera from that? And if you have things going in front of your shot that can really mess with the 3D camera tracker, and you won't get a very good track. It'll be all over the place. So sometimes we need to do is to mask those things out and then use the camera tracker on that pre-comp with those foreground objects removed. You can find more information about the online. But for now, I think is a pretty decent camera track. The only thing that's going to be a little tricky is this building here. And that's because it's made of glass. And there's this outer structure here. It's gonna click away from the 3D camera tracker. There's this outer skeleton. And then, below that, there's an inner truss system. Kind of all through here. And so, if you look at the trackers, some of them are gonna be locked to the outer skeleton. And then some of them will be locked to the inner skeleton. So trying to get something to stick on this particular object. Like if I wanted to get something to stick right on the outside of this and be locked to the perspective, that would be a little tricky. Not impossible, but outside the scope of this tutorial. So I'm not gonna do that. Well, what I am going to do is show you how to make a text look like it's hovering directly above this building. And so to do that, I need to do two things. 1. I need to create a camera. And 2. I need to insert some text. I can do that all in one shot here. If I scrubbed along the timeline and I find somewhere that has a decent amount of tracking points at the very top. And the reason why this is going to work is because the distance between these tracking points is relatively minimal. So, if you click here, it will create a selection between 3 tracking points. If you want to select more, which is sometimes beneficial for getting a better track, You can just draw a selection around multiple tracking points. And if you right click here, you will see that all the options are create something and camera. That's because the camera has not been created yet. Even though it is solved for the camera, there hasn't been one created. You can do that over here. Separately. Just click create camera. And now, when you click on this, it'll just say create the object. So you can create text. You can create a solid, a null, a shadow catcher, and the light. What I want to do is create text. Alright. It is just created my text. Let's preview this and see what it looks like. I'm just going to zoom out to 50% here. Okay. That's not too bad. My text here has the anchor point in the center. If you're following along, you can change that with the align tools here in the paragraph panel. So I'm seeing right now, it looks like it's tracking pretty well. The orientation isn't great. And so, what I'll do for this particular shot is I will pick a section where the front of this is pretty flat and then try and line up the rotation of my text to that. So with my text layer selected, just press R. That'll bring up the rotation. And then I can adjust the orientation to try and get it a little bit better looking. I'll just zero some of these out. What that looks like. Okay. It looks like that is actually a lot closer. And then I'll just rotate it like this. And then scale it down. Put some different text in here. That makes more sense. And then I will reposition this. But I'm only going to move it up. I think that's okay. Actually, it looks like it's in front. So I am gonna push it back in Z space here. And I'll just play this and see what it looks like. So that actually looks pretty decent. It's kind of a slow play back there. But it looks like that's pretty locked to the building. Looking pretty good. So using this technique, you can add all kinds of things to your scene, including 3D objects. And with the After Effects lighting system, in some other wizardry, you can composite computer-generated 3D objects into your shot and make them look like they were actually there. In this particular case, we just added some text. It's locked in 3D space, but it doesn't really look like it was there because it doesn't have the same lighting. And it doesn't really have any dimensionality to it. That's something that you can learn. Coming up in the next tutorial, we'll show you how to create some native 3D text for this shot. So check that out. Finally, we are done for today. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and leave your comment down below in the comments section. Also, if you want to learn more, take a look at our first channel, Everything PS. See you next time. Bye.